Beloved, for the next 14 days, your life can be utterly transformed. 14 days of shifting your words, your thoughts, and your faith can tear down walls of lack and open wide the floodgates of divine abundance. This is not a theory, this is law, the law of spirit, the law of attraction, the law of life itself. For what you plant in your heart, you will surely harvest in your hands. When you decide today to commit for 14 days, you are not merely counting time, you are creating a new vibration, a new atmosphere. Each day becomes a step closer to the realm of infinite supply, where money flows, opportunities arrive, and doors swing open by unseen hands. Why 14 days? Because the subconscious mind is like soil. It takes repetition, it takes planting, it takes watering before the seed breaks through the surface. For 14 days, you will water the soil of your soul with affirmations of wealth, declarations of abundance, and thoughts of limitless supply. But hear this clearly, you cannot attract abundance while clinging to the chains of doubt and fear. Poverty begins in the mind, and so does prosperity. Release every thought of I can't, I don't have, it's too hard, for these are thieves of your destiny. Instead, replace them with words of life. I live in the divine flow. Supply is mine now. Wealth rushes to me freely, easily, joyously. Speak these words aloud, for the spoken word is a sword. It cuts through resistance and brings your desire into form. Gratitude must be your constant companion during these 14 days. Give thanks before the money arrives. Give thanks before the opportunity appears. Gratitude is the magnetic current that draws blessings out of the unseen and into your world. When you rise in the morning, give thanks. When you lay down at night, give thanks. Gratitude seals the blessing and multiplies the miracle. And do not forget, faith is the key. Not faith that wavers, not faith that doubts, but faith that declares, it is done. Faith that sees the invisible, believes the impossible, and receives the inevitable. Wealth is not a gamble, it is your birthright. You are not created for struggle, but for abundance. The universe is rich, overflowing, and limitless, and it longs to pour itself into your life. During these 14 days, take inspired action. Do not sit idly. When an idea flashes in your mind, when a door cracks open, when intuition nudges you, step forward. Wealth flows to the obedient heart, the one ready to act in alignment with Spirit's whisper. Each day, visualize yourself living in the fullness of abundance. Feel the weight of the wallet in your hand. See the opportunities knocking at your door. Experience the joy of giving generously. The imagination is not fantasy. It is the blueprint of your destiny. What you vividly imagine with faith, you will one day hold. And when the 14 days are complete, live as if you already possess what you have declared. Do not look back to lack. Do not question the how. Expect it, rejoice in it, for miracles chase the one who believes. So I ask you now, are you ready for your 14 days of transformation? Are you ready to align with divine law and step into the river of abundance that has been waiting for you? Begin today, speak life, believe without wavering, act with courage, and in 14 days, prepare to stand as a living testimony of wealth and abundance. The power of a 14-day spiritual reset is not found in the mere counting of days, but in the conscious choice to step away from old cycles of thought, patterns of limitation, and beliefs that no longer serve your highest good. 14 days may seem short, almost too brief to promise transformation, yet when you dedicate this span of time with intention, faith, and focus, the results can be nothing short of miraculous. The reason is simple. The mind and spirit respond quickly when given clarity, repetition, and unwavering energy. 14 days of immersion into new thought patterns, new affirmations, and new spiritual practices can begin to shift the very atmosphere around you, aligning you with the flow of abundance that has always been waiting. Consider how habits are formed. Science tells us that repetition imprints the subconscious, carving out new pathways in thought. Spirit tells us that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. When you combine these truths, you see the brilliance of a short yet powerful reset. 2 weeks is long enough to establish momentum, but short enough to keep your faith sharp and your focus unwavering. It is a sacred window of time where you declare, I will not live as I have lived. I will think new thoughts. I will speak new words. I will believe in new possibilities. And with that decision, you turn the key to abundance. A spiritual reset is not about striving, but surrender. For 14 days, you are not fighting for money, opportunities, or resources. Instead, you are allowing them to flow by removing the blocks of doubt, fear, and lack that have clouded your perception. When you reset spiritually, you recognize that supply is already present. The wealth you seek already exists. The opportunities you long for are already aligned. The connections you need are already prepared. The reset simply clears your inner vision so that you can see, believe, and receive what has been there all along. Imagine for a moment someone who has been walking in circles, trapped in a maze of their own negative thoughts. They keep saying, I can't get ahead. I never have enough. Life is too hard. These words become walls. These thoughts become cages. Now imagine what happens when for 14 straight days that same person declares, I am in the flow of divine supply. Every day wealth comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. I am a magnet for abundance. Doors open before me, and nothing can be withheld from me. The cage begins to crack. The walls begin to crumble. The outer world must eventually mirror the inner change. That is the power of a spiritual reset. Your inner atmosphere dictates your outer experience, and when you shift within, life shifts without. But it is not only words, it is also the spirit behind the words. For 14 days you commit not merely to saying affirmations, but to embodying them, to feeling the truth of them as if it were already so. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. A reset is your decision to hold faith as your substance, not doubt, not fear, not worry. Each day becomes an altar where you lay down the old thought and take up the new. In the morning, you rise with gratitude. In the day, you walk with expectancy. At night, you rest in assurance. Repetition builds momentum, and momentum builds manifestation. There is also a symbolic power in choosing a set period of time. 14 days says to the subconscious, I am serious about this. It says to the universe, I am aligning myself with new energy. It says to your own spirit, I will be faithful for this period, no matter what appearances may say. And as you remain steadfast, you begin to feel a shift in the unseen. Old fears lose their grip, doubts fade, your energy grows lighter, your vision grows clearer. You begin to sense opportunities, notice coincidences, experience small breakthroughs that signal the larger ones to come. 14 days becomes a threshold, a passageway from the old life of lack into the new life of abundance. Think of it as spiritual training. Just as a body can change its strength, stamina, and appearance in 2 weeks of disciplined exercise, so too can the soul change its vibration in 2 weeks of disciplined focus. Each day is a workout of faith, a stretching of belief, a lifting of gratitude. You are training yourself to become wealth, conscious abundance, conscious miracle, conscious, and once the mind is trained, it no longer easily slips back into the weakness of fear and lack. A reset builds resilience, and that resilience continues beyond the 14 days. There is also a purification that occurs. When you decide to reset spiritually, you become more aware of what does not belong. You notice the thoughts that drag you down, the conversations that breed negativity, the habits that leak energy. You begin to filter your inner world with more clarity. Just as a fast cleanses the body, a spiritual reset cleanses the soul. By the end of the 14 days, you not only feel lighter, but freer, because the weight of doubt has been shed. The beauty is that miracles often do not wait for the 14 days to finish. Many will begin to see shifts within the first few days, unexpected financial blessings, surprising opportunities, reconciled relationships, or simply a deep peace that attracts solutions. This is because the universe responds instantly to alignment, and though the harvest may take time, the planting of the seed creates immediate movement in the unseen. The reset is both process and promise. Process because you commit daily, promise because you know the outcome cannot fail. The mind may resist at first. Old thoughts will try to creep back. Appearances may seem to contradict your affirmations, but that is where the power of the reset is revealed. For 14 days, you train yourself not to bow to appearances. You learn to look beyond what you see and stand firm in what you know. Wealth is not created by sight, it is created by vision, and a reset strengthens your vision until it becomes stronger than what your eyes show you. So the power of a 14-day spiritual reset lies not in the number of days, but in the transformation of energy, faith, and focus that those days represent. It is a declaration to yourself and to the universe that you are ready to stop circling in lack and start walking in abundance. It is the sacred act of taking your thoughts captive and directing them toward truth. It is the discipline of speaking words that create life and refusing words that create struggle. It is the steady practice of gratitude that multiplies blessings and the unwavering faith that says, "It is done." For 14 days, you align with the eternal truth that you are never without supply, never without opportunity, never without guidance. For 14 days, you step out of the shadows of doubt and into the light of abundance. And though the reset may be set for 14 days, the change it ignites can last a lifetime. That is the hidden promise. In just 2 weeks of focused, faithful practice, you can unlock doors that lead to wealth, joy, and freedom far beyond what you once thought possible. The law of subconscious imprinting is one of the most powerful yet misunderstood forces that govern human life. Every thought, every word, every image, every belief that is repeated with feeling and conviction settles into the fertile soil of the subconscious mind, where it takes root and eventually produces results in the outer world. You may think you are the master of your conscious decisions, but the reality is that the subconscious mind drives 95% of your actions, your habits, your attitudes, and the conditions you experience. It is like the silent engine beneath the surface of the sea, invisible to the eye, but directing the current of your entire life. When you understand this law and choose to work with it, you unlock the key to wealth, abundance, health, and freedom. When you ignore it, you find yourself trapped in cycles of lack, frustration, and limitation, not knowing that it was your own inner programming that wrote the script of your life. The subconscious mind does not argue, it does not judge, and it does not discriminate. It is the perfect servant, accepting every word, every thought, every belief that you impress upon it. If you feed it with fear, it will reproduce fear in your life. If you feed it with lack, it will faithfully create lack. If you constantly speak about bills, debt, and struggle, your subconscious accepts that as your truth and brings it to pass. But when you begin to feed it words of abundance, pictures of prosperity, and feelings of wealth, it begins to rewire itself to attract those very experiences. That is the law of subconscious imprinting. What you impress upon it, it expresses back into your reality. Think of a farmer sowing seeds. The soil does not care whether the seed is of a thorn bush or a rose. It accepts the seed and produces accordingly. The subconscious is that soil, endlessly fertile and infinitely obedient. Your words are the seeds, your thoughts are the seeds, your imagination is the seed. The question is not whether the soil will grow something. The question is what you are planting day after day. For many, the subconscious has been filled with weeds, negative beliefs picked up from childhood, limiting ideas spoken by parents or teachers, false notions absorbed from society. These weeds grow unchecked until you decide to deliberately plant new seeds. That is the reset of life, realizing that you can uproot the old and begin planting the new. Imprinting happens through repetition. The subconscious learns not through logic, but through consistency. A single positive thought may inspire the conscious mind, but it will not change the subconscious. It is the steady rhythm of affirmations, the daily repetition of wealth, declaring words, the continuous visualization of abundance that finally imprints the subconscious. Just as water dripping on stone eventually carves its mark, so repeated thoughts carve grooves in the mind until they become automatic patterns. When wealth, consciousness becomes automatic, opportunities begin to appear, money begins to flow, and abundance becomes your new normal. Emotion is the glue that fixes ideas into the subconscious. A lifeless affirmation spoken without feeling may pass through the mind like a cloud passing through the sky. But when you speak with conviction, when you feel the joy of already possessing what you desire, the subconscious accepts it as real and begins to move mountains to manifest it. That is why visualization is so powerful. When you not only see but feel yourself living in abundance, smelling the fragrance of your dream home, feeling the weight of money in your hands, hearing the laughter of freedom in your spirit, you are impressing the subconscious with a reality it cannot distinguish from the physical. Soon, the outer world rearranges itself to mirror the inner picture. This law also explains why so many people remain stuck. They consciously say they want wealth, but subconsciously they believe they are unworthy, that money is hard to earn, that prosperity belongs to others but not to them. These subconscious programs sabotage their efforts because the subconscious always wins. You may consciously strive, but if your subconscious is filled with fear, you will create delay. You may consciously take action, but if your subconscious is imprinted with doubt, you will attract obstacles. That is why working with the subconscious is not optional, it is essential. To change your life, you must change the inner program. The good news is that the subconscious can be rewritten at any time. No matter how many years of lack, no matter how many generations of poverty, the moment you begin to consistently feed your subconscious with truth, you begin a new cycle. Wealth, consciousness can be built. Prosperity, thinking can be trained, and when it is, you will find that what once felt impossible begins to unfold with ease. The doors that seemed locked swing open. The opportunities that seemed out of reach suddenly appear. The people you need to meet cross your path. This is not coincidence. It is the law of subconscious imprinting at work. Consider also the power of the spoken word. Every time you declare, "I am rich in divine substance, I prosper wherever I go, money comes to me freely and abundantly," you are impressing your subconscious. It may resist at first, saying, "But look at your bank account." That is only the echo of the old program. Continue declaring, continue affirming, continue imprinting. In time, the new belief will sink deeper than the old. The subconscious does not resist forever. It always yields to consistent repetition and faith-filled emotion. And when it yields, the outer life shifts accordingly. Many people have unknowingly imprinted their subconscious with the wrong beliefs by constantly repeating the language of lack. They say, "I can't afford that, money doesn't grow on trees, life is hard, wealth is for others." Each phrase is a seed, each seed takes root, and the harvest is struggle. Yet the moment you reverse the language, the moment you say, "I live in divine abundance, all my needs are met, Opportunities flow to me now. You plant new seeds. With time, the new harvest appears. This is not wishful thinking, it is law. The subconscious also responds powerfully to symbols and images. Vision boards, written affirmations, repeated prayers, symbolic actions such as giving and receiving. These all leave imprints. That is why rituals of prosperity are so effective. They bypass the conscious reasoning and speak directly to the subconscious in its own language of repetition, symbolism, and feeling. When you engage all the senses in your imprinting, you accelerate the process. But perhaps the most vital element is faith. Without faith, words are empty. Without faith, repetition becomes mechanical. Faith gives life to the imprint. Faith waters the seed. Faith declares it done even before it is seen. When faith joins with repetition, the subconscious is reprogrammed rapidly, and manifestations appear with speed. Faith is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, and the subconscious is the ground upon which that bridge is built. The law of subconscious imprinting is impartial. It does not care whether you imprint wealth or lack, joy or sorrow, success or failure. It simply produces according to what is impressed upon it. This neutrality is your greatest gift because it means you are not bound by the past. You can begin today, right now, to impress abundance. You can begin to tell a new story, to declare a new reality, to envision a new future. And as surely as night follows day, the subconscious will accept the new pattern and life will rise to meet it. To master this law is to master life. When you choose deliberately what to impress, you choose deliberately what to experience. You no longer drift on the currents of old beliefs, but set the sail of your destiny. You no longer live as a victim of circumstance, but as a creator of abundance. The wealth you seek is not outside, it is within, waiting to be impressed upon your subconscious and expressed in your life. This is the eternal promise. As within, so without, as you imprint, so shall you live. Breaking the chains of limiting beliefs is the great liberation of the soul. Every person carries within them a treasury of divine potential, but most of that treasure remains locked away because of invisible chains that were wrapped around the mind long before they ever realized it. These chains are not made of steel or iron. They are woven from words, ideas, and assumptions that have been repeated until they became accepted as truth. A child hears, "We can't afford that," and the chain is forged. A student hears, "You're not smart enough," and another link is added. A worker is told, "Money doesn't come easy," and the chain tightens. Over the years, these beliefs grow heavier until the soul forgets that it was born free. But freedom does not come from struggling with outer circumstances. It comes from dissolving the lies within and reclaiming the truth of unlimited possibility. Limiting beliefs are like walls in the mind. They tell you how far you can go, how much you can earn, how much you can receive, how much you are allowed to dream. They whisper, "Not you, not now, not ever." They make you believe that abundance is for others, that wealth is reserved for the privileged, that success requires suffering, that opportunities are scarce. And because the subconscious mind always expresses what it has been imprinted with, those beliefs become your lived reality. The outer life bends to the inner program, and you find yourself experiencing lack, not because abundance was denied to you, but because you denied it to yourself through belief. The tragedy is that most people never question these beliefs. They accept them as reality simply because they have lived with them so long. They do not realize that these thoughts were borrowed, inherited, absorbed from parents, teachers, culture, religion, or society. They were never original to the soul. The soul was born with no belief in lack. A child never doubts the generosity of life. A child asks without fear, imagines without limit, expects without hesitation. It is only later, when the voices of doubt enter, that the child learns to shrink dreams, lower expectations, and accept chains as normal. To break the chains is to return to that original freedom of spirit, to reclaim the innocence of faith, to once again believe in miracles without apology. The first step in breaking limiting beliefs is awareness. You cannot destroy what you do not recognize. Begin to listen to the language you use every day. Do you say, "I can't afford this, I'll never get ahead, I'm always unlucky, people like me never succeed"? Every phrase is a chain. Begin to notice the automatic thoughts that arise when you think of wealth. Do you instantly think of struggle, unworthiness, or impossibility? That is the voice of the chain. Awareness is like turning on the light in a dark room. You suddenly see the clutter that was always there but hidden. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The next step is rejection. Just because a thought arises does not mean it must be accepted. You have the authority to say, "This is not my truth." When the chain whispers, "Money is hard," you answer, "Wealth comes to me easily." When it says, "You don't deserve abundance," you answer, "I am worthy of every good thing." Every time you contradict the chain, you weaken it. Every time you affirm the opposite, you loosen its grip. The subconscious learns through repetition, and just as the chain was formed by repetition, it can be broken by repetition of a higher truth. Breaking the chains also requires imagination. Limiting beliefs confine the mind to what has been, but imagination opens it to what can be. When you dare to see yourself wealthy, free, and abundant, you are breaking the mental walls of lack. When you visualize yourself walking through doors of opportunity, living in overflow, giving generously, you are rewriting the blueprint of your destiny. The imagination does not argue with limiting beliefs. It simply bypasses them by creating a new picture. And the subconscious, when fed with consistent images, accepts the new vision as reality and begins to manifest it. Gratitude is another weapon of liberation. Limiting beliefs thrive on dissatisfaction, on focusing on what is missing. But when you choose gratitude, you shift the energy. You begin to affirm that abundance already surrounds you. You see the wealth in the sunrise, the prosperity in health, the richness in relationships, the fortune in opportunities. Gratitude breaks chains because it proves lack is a lie. The one who is grateful cannot remain poor in spirit, for gratitude multiplies whatever it touches. The more you give thanks, the more life gives you reasons to be thankful. Faith is the ultimate chain breaker. Limiting beliefs say, "It is impossible." Faith declares, "With divine law, all things are possible." Limiting beliefs argue from appearances, pointing to the current balance in your account, the circumstances of your job, the limitations of your background. Faith ignores appearances and clings to truth. Faith believes in supply unseen, opportunities unformed, miracles unimagined. Faith is not blind. It sees deeper than the eyes. It sees the invisible abundance already prepared, and by holding fast to that vision, it pulls it into manifestation. Chains cannot hold against faith, for faith dissolves fear, and fear is the root of every limiting belief. You must also take action in alignment with your new beliefs. When you begin to declare abundance, visualize prosperity, and give thanks, you will feel nudges to act differently. Perhaps you are guided to invest, to apply, to create, to speak, to give. Each step taken in faith breaks another chain. Limiting beliefs keep people paralyzed, afraid to move, but action infused with faith demonstrates to the subconscious that you are serious about your freedom. The more you act from the belief in abundance, the more abundance flows to confirm that belief. Remember, chains can be broken in an instant or dissolved over time. Some fall away the moment you declare a new truth with conviction. Others require repeated blows of affirmation, visualization, gratitude, and faith. Do not be discouraged if some chains resist. The resistance is proof that they are weakening. Persistence is victory. A wall does not crumble with one strike, but with repeated strikes it must eventually collapse. So too with the walls of limiting beliefs. Breaking the chains of limiting beliefs is not only about wealth, it is about destiny. Every belief you hold shapes the life you live. If you believe you are small, you will live small. If you believe opportunities are rare, you will rarely see them. If you believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage blessings. But the moment you break these beliefs, the horizon expands. You see opportunities where once there were none. You meet people who align with your vision. You receive ideas that lead to increase. You walk in confidence that draws success. Life opens wide when the mind is free. At the deepest level, breaking limiting beliefs is returning to truth. The truth is that you are one with divine abundance, that supply is infinite, that wealth is natural, that prosperity is your inheritance. Any belief that contradicts this truth is a lie, no matter how long you have believed it. The chains were never real. They were illusions given power only by your acceptance. When you reject the lie and embrace the truth, the chains dissolve like shadows in the light. And so, to break the chains of limiting beliefs is to step into the life you were always meant to live. It is to cast off the false identity of lack and put on the robe of abundance. It is to silence the old voices of fear and listen to the still, sure voice of truth. It is to live no longer as a prisoner of thoughts, but as a master of destiny. For as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. And when you believe in abundance, nothing on earth can keep it from you. The spoken word as a creative force is one of the greatest mysteries hidden in plain sight. Every word released from the tongue carries vibration, frequency, and power. Words are not empty sounds. They are containers of energy, seeds that fall into the fertile soil of the subconscious mind and the spiritual atmosphere. When you speak, you set creation into motion. Life and death, abundance and lack, peace and chaos. They are all summoned or dismissed by the words you choose to declare. It is not coincidence that ancient wisdom says the world itself was spoken into existence. The tongue is the brush that paints reality, and each sentence is a stroke of destiny on the canvas of life. Consider how easily people imprison themselves with careless speech. Someone says, "I'm always broke. Money slips through my fingers. Nothing ever works out for me." Without realizing it, they are issuing commands to their subconscious mind, giving instructions to the unseen forces that shape circumstances. The subconscious, ever faithful, takes those words as law and creates conditions to fulfill them. Yet another person, in the same situation, speaks differently. "I live in a flow of supply. Doors open for me. Wealth comes easily." That declaration, repeated with faith and feeling, begins to draw experiences that confirm it. Both lives diverge not because of fate, but because of the words chosen and spoken. The spoken word is not mere description, it is decree. To say, "I am blessed," is not to report a fact, but to establish a condition. The phrase "I am" is particularly powerful because it is the name of being itself. Whatever follows "I am" becomes a command to the subconscious and an invitation to the universe. To say "I am wealthy" imprints wealth. To say "I am unlucky" imprints misfortune. Every time you attach words to your "I am," you are chiseling them into the stone of your reality. This is why discipline of speech is essential, because the mouth speaks prophecy whether the speaker knows it or not. Emotion fuels the power of the spoken word. Words spoken with passion, conviction, or gratitude are charged with creative energy. When you declare wealth with joy, when you affirm prosperity with unshakable belief, the vibration is amplified and creation responds. That is why prayers, chants, affirmations, and declarations have endured for centuries across cultures. They are not empty rituals, but the conscious use of sound to shape life. The more consistent and faith-filled the word, the quicker it becomes flesh and dwells in your reality. To master the spoken word is to master creation. It is to recognize that every phrase is a seed, every affirmation a tool, every declaration a force shaping tomorrow. Words can tear down or build up, imprison or release, diminish or expand. The wise learn to guard the tongue, to speak only those words that align with the life they wish to live. For once a word is spoken, it sets in motion a chain of unseen energies that cannot easily be recalled. Speak lack, and lack appears. Speak abundance, and abundance answers. The spoken word is not only communication, it is creation. Living in the atmosphere of gratitude is more than saying thank you for the blessings you already see. It is dwelling in a state of continual recognition that life itself is a gift, that every breath is provision, and that abundance surrounds you even when appearances seem scarce. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is a vibration. It shifts the mind from longing to fulfillment, from complaint to appreciation, from lack to plenty. When you live in gratitude, you do not wait for blessings to arrive before celebrating. You celebrate in advance, knowing that thanksgiving multiplies whatever it touches. The atmosphere of gratitude is a magnet. When you begin to give thanks for the money you have, however small, you create the space for more to enter. When you appreciate the opportunities before you, new ones begin to appear. When you acknowledge the guidance you've received, fresh inspiration flows with greater ease. Gratitude signals to the universe that you are ready for increase, that you can be trusted with more because you honor what is already in your hands. Lack cannot survive in a heart filled with thanksgiving, because gratitude constantly turns attention toward abundance, and what you focus on expands. Many miss this secret because they think gratitude should only follow visible blessings. But the truth is, gratitude has creative power. To thank for what is not yet seen is to call it forth. When you rise each morning and say, I give thanks for the wealth flowing into my life. I give thanks for the opportunities unfolding now. I give thanks for the abundance that surrounds me. You are imprinting your subconscious and aligning your spirit with provision before it arrives. This act of thanksgiving seals the blessing, for gratitude declares that the prayer has already been answered. Living in this atmosphere also transforms your emotions. Where there is gratitude, worry cannot live. Fear dissolves, envy disappears, discontent fades. Gratitude brings peace because it shifts your gaze from what is missing to what is present. Even in the face of difficulty, when you choose gratitude, you are testifying that good is still working behind the scenes. And as you remain faithful in thanksgiving, you begin to see how even challenges carried hidden gifts. Gratitude turns trials into teachers and obstacles into stepping stones. The atmosphere of gratitude also expands your giving nature. When you feel blessed, you naturally want to bless others. You give more freely, and that giving places you in the divine cycle of circulation, where wealth moves with greater speed and ease. Gratitude keeps the flow alive, ensuring that you never cling in fear but release in faith, knowing more is always on the way. To live in gratitude is to live as if the miracle has already happened. It is to walk in joy before the evidence appears, to praise before the manifestation, to rejoice before the harvest. And in doing so, you accelerate the arrival of abundance, for gratitude is the key that unlocks the storehouse of blessings and draws them into your life with irresistible force. Faith as the key that unlocks supply is the great secret to moving from scarcity into abundance. Supply is never truly absent. It exists in the invisible realm, waiting for faith to draw it into form. Faith is not just belief. It is an unshakable knowing, a certainty that abundance belongs to you even when appearances scream otherwise. Faith looks past empty bank accounts, overdue bills, or limited opportunities and boldly declares, "My supply is here, my needs are met, my good cannot be withheld." This declaration is not empty optimism. It is the turning of the spiritual key that opens the storehouse of provision. Faith does not wait for evidence, it creates evidence. It does not ask, "How will this happen?" but rests in the assurance that it is already done. This is why faith is so powerful. It reprograms the subconscious mind, aligning your inner world with the truth of limitless abundance. Once the subconscious accepts the image of supply, it tirelessly works to manifest it in your experience. Ideas arrive, doors open, opportunities present themselves, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Faith begins the process, and supply follows as a natural response. To live in faith is to refuse to be governed by appearances. Appearances are temporary shadows, but faith deals in eternal truth. Appearances may show lack, but faith knows supply is infinite. Appearances may show closed doors, but faith knows the right door is already swinging open. When you anchor yourself in faith, you are no longer a prisoner of circumstances. You become the master of them. Life bends to belief, and faith is the strongest belief you can hold. Faith is also active. It speaks boldly, declaring abundance into being. Words charged with faith are not casual statements. They are commands to the subconscious and decrees to the universe. When you say, "I live in divine supply," money flows freely to me, opportunities chase me down, and you speak it with conviction, you are unlocking the vault of provision. The vibration of faith-filled words carries authority, and reality aligns accordingly. Doubt closes the door, but faith opens it wide. The beautiful thing about faith is that it grows stronger each time you use it. A small step of belief produces a small result, which strengthens your confidence, leading you to take larger steps of faith that produce even greater results. Soon you no longer tremble at challenges because you know the key is in your hand. You know that no matter the problem, the solution already exists, and faith will unlock it. Faith is the master key, universal in its power. It opens the way to health, opportunity, relationships, and, above all, abundance. Hold it firmly, speak it boldly, act on it consistently, and you will see that supply is never absent, never delayed, never withheld. It simply waits for faith to unlock the door. Wealth as a divine birthright is a truth that shatters the illusion of lack and sets the soul free to claim what has always belonged to it. Wealth is not a privilege reserved for the few, nor is it a prize earned through struggle and endless toil. It is a natural inheritance, woven into the very fabric of your being. From the moment you came into existence, the universe equipped you with access to abundance, because you were created in alignment with infinite supply. Just as the sun does not choose who to shine upon, the flow of wealth does not withhold itself from anyone. It is impartial, ever present, waiting for you to recognize and claim it as your rightful portion. The tragedy is that so many live as beggars at the table of life, believing they must scrape, claw, or prove themselves worthy of prosperity. They carry the weight of limiting beliefs passed down by family, culture, or circumstance, convincing them that wealth is selfish, unattainable, or reserved for others. Yet the truth stands unshaken. Wealth is your divine birthright, and the moment you awaken to this reality, the chains of lack begin to fall away. You do not need to beg for it. You do not need to earn it in suffering. You need only align with it in thought, word, and action. To claim wealth as a birthright is to walk with confidence in the flow of supply. It is to look at your life and say, "I am not a victim of scarcity. I am a child of abundance." This recognition shifts your energy from desperation to assurance, from striving to receiving. It teaches you to see wealth not as something outside of you to chase, but as something within you to release. When you accept that prosperity is in your spiritual DNA, you begin to live differently. You speak differently, act differently, and attract differently. You no longer apologize for desiring more because you understand that increase is the natural rhythm of life. Wealth as a divine birthright also carries responsibility, for it is not given only to enrich you but to flow through you. When you embrace your inheritance, you become a channel for blessings, a steward of resources, a vessel of generosity. The more you allow wealth to move through you, the more it multiplies. Giving becomes natural because you know supply is endless, and sharing does not diminish your portion, but expands it. Wealth, when seen as divine birthright, ceases to be about hoarding and becomes about circulate, in keeping the current of abundance alive. To deny your wealth is to deny your source. To accept it is to honor the creator of abundance. When you live in this truth, you stop shrinking back in fear and rise boldly in the fullness of your inheritance. Wealth is not outside of you, it is within you. It is not delayed, it is available now. It is not optional, it is your birthright. And when you claim it with faith, gratitude, and action, you step into the life of overflow that was destined for you from the beginning. Action anchored in spirit is the secret that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Too often, people exhaust themselves in restless striving, working harder and harder, yet never touching the deep satisfaction of true progress. This is because action without spiritual alignment is like rowing against the current. It drains energy but moves little. When your actions are rooted in spirit, however, they become powerful, purposeful, and fruitful. Spirit-led action does not wear you down. It lifts you up. It carries a current of divine timing and flow, guiding you toward doors that open easily, opportunities that fit perfectly, and results that multiply with grace. To anchor action in spirit means you do not move from fear, desperation, or competition, but from inner conviction, guidance, and alignment. You take steps that resonate with your higher self, that echo the whisper of intuition, that feel expansive rather than constrictive. In this way, even small actions become potent. A single phone call made in faith can open a door wider than years of frantic effort. A decision birthed from stillness can shift the course of your destiny more than endless worry or planning. Spirit does not require you to do everything. It requires you to do the right things at the right time, and when you align with that rhythm, your actions carry exponential impact. This principle does not mean sitting idle, waiting for miracles to fall from the sky. It means moving with purpose rather than panic, acting with clarity rather than confusion. When you anchor your steps in spirit, you know when to advance and when to wait, when to speak and when to be silent, when to sow and when to reap. Your life begins to mirror the precision of divine order, and what once felt like chaos starts to reveal itself as perfect orchestration. Spirit-anchored action also carries peace. You no longer act from the shaky ground of doubt, but from the solid foundation of trust. Even when results are not immediate, you know that the seed has been planted in good soil, and in due time it must bear fruit. This faith allows you to act boldly and release fear of failure, because you understand that no action born in spirit is ever wasted. Each step contributes to the unfolding of your abundance, whether seen or unseen, and perhaps most powerfully, action anchored in spirit inspires others. People are drawn to confidence, clarity, and conviction. When they see you moving with grace and certainty, they sense the deeper power guiding you, and it awakens something within them as well. Your actions become a living testimony that success is not about struggle alone, but about alignment with the unseen forces of abundance. When you act from spirit, you live in flow rather than friction. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer force, you align. Each step becomes charged with creative energy, carrying you effortlessly toward your destiny. And in this place of harmony, action is no longer labor but joy, no longer striving but fulfillment, no longer a burden, but the natural outpouring of spirit moving through you. Visualizing the end result daily is one of the most powerful practices for turning desire into reality. The mind is the womb of creation, and whatever image you hold consistently within it begins to take shape in your outer world. When you deliberately picture the outcome you seek, whether it is wealth, success, peace, or abundance, you are programming your subconscious to accept it as true, and once the subconscious accepts it, it begins arranging circumstances, opportunities, and ideas to bring it to pass. Visualization is not daydreaming, it is disciplined imagination, a sacred rehearsal of the future you intend to live. The secret lies in consistency. To picture your desired outcome once and then return to worry and doubt is to plant a seed and immediately uproot it. But when you visualize the end result daily, you water the seed of creation. Each repetition strengthens the image until it becomes so real in your mind that it feels inevitable. You begin to carry yourself differently, speak differently, and act differently because in your inner world, the result is already achieved, and life, like a faithful mirror, reflects back what you embody within. When you visualize, you must see it as finished. Do not dwell on the process, the obstacles, or the steps. Dwell on the fulfillment. If wealth is your goal, see yourself living in the overflow. Debts cleared, opportunities flowing, generosity pouring from you with ease. Feel the relief, the joy, the freedom. If success is your desire, picture the celebration, the achievement, the recognition, and embody the emotions as though it has already happened. Emotion is the fuel that supercharges visualization. The subconscious does not distinguish between reality and vividly imagined experience. It simply responds to the feelings attached to the image. This is why daily practice is so essential. The world around you may present challenges, appearances of lack, or reasons to doubt, but your daily visualization resets your inner compass. Each time you close your eyes and immerse yourself in the vision, you are training your mind to focus on the end rather than the obstacle. Soon, your thoughts align with the vision, your words affirm it, and your actions flow naturally toward it. The external cannot resist the momentum of an inner picture held with unwavering conviction. Visualizing the end result daily is also an act of faith. It is declaring with your imagination that the promise is already fulfilled, the dream already realized. It dissolves impatience because you no longer question if, but simply wait on when. The more you live in that mental picture, the more natural it feels, until the universe has no choice but to match it with outer evidence. To visualize daily is to step into the creative power placed within you. It is to command your future by living it in advance, and when practiced faithfully, this simple act of imagination becomes the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the dream and its manifestation, the desire and its fulfillment. Sealing the transformation with gratitude and expectancy is the final step that ensures every shift within you takes root and bears fruit. Transformation is not complete until it is acknowledged, celebrated, and sealed with a heart full of thanksgiving. Gratitude is the divine glue that holds the blessing in place, and expectancy is the magnet that draws even more into your life. When you give thanks, you affirm that the work is done, that the change is real, and that the harvest is already in motion. When you combine gratitude with expectancy, you stand in the highest vibration of creation, one that says, "I am thankful for what has come, and I am open for more." Gratitude seals the transformation because it fixes your focus on abundance rather than lack. Even if your outer world has only begun to shift, giving thanks for the smallest signs of progress keeps the flow alive. Every time you say, "Thank you for this provision, thank you for this opportunity, thank you for this growth," you are watering the seed of transformation. Gratitude does not wait until the full harvest has appeared. It rejoices at the first sprout breaking through the soil, knowing the field is already abundant. It locks you into a mindset of increase, and what you honor with thanksgiving multiplies. Expectancy is the forward force that partners with gratitude. It is the confident anticipation that the best is not behind you, but before you. To expect is not to wish, it is to know. It is to rise each day looking for evidence of blessing, prepared to receive opportunities, ready to act on divine nudges. Expectancy sharpens your vision and tunes your ears to the whispers of guidance. When you live with expectancy, you are not surprised when good comes. You are prepared because you knew it was on the way. Together, gratitude and expectancy create an atmosphere of miracles. Gratitude anchors you in the present blessing. Expectancy stretches you toward the next one. Gratitude says, I rejoice in what is. Expectancy says, I rejoice in what is coming. This dynamic partnership keeps you moving forward in faith, never stagnant, never doubtful, always ready for the unfolding of greater abundance. Sealing transformation with these two forces also protects you from the temptation to slip back into old patterns. Gratitude keeps the heart humble and appreciative, preventing pride or complacency. Expectancy keeps the spirit vibrant and alive, refusing to settle for less than the fullness of your divine inheritance. When both are alive in you, your transformation is not a fleeting moment but a permanent shift, a new way of living that continuously attracts greater supply and deeper fulfillment. To seal the transformation with gratitude and expectancy is to close one chapter and step boldly into the next, carrying with you the awareness that you are forever expanding, forever provided for, forever blessed. It is the triumphant declaration that the journey is not over. It is only beginning, and greater things are already on their way.